I'm behind already, so shall we start? Yes? Enthusiasm. Shall we start? All right. So, first of all, guys, thank you so much for coming to Berlin. I think we are, probably said to all of you, this is by far our most international gathering and our smallest event so far. We weren't expecting actually to get such a sort of diverse group in the room, so thank you all for coming. It's very, very exciting. So for those of you who I don't know, my name is Liam. I'm the founder of Biggerplate, so if you have any complaints you probably have to talk to me. So I'm going to try and do a little bit of a welcome to today, and then also give you a bit of an outline of some of the things that are happening in the Biggerplate world. And this is really just to try and set a little bit of a context around what we're trying to do, what we're working on, what we're trying to achieve. And then over the course of today, you're going to hear from some fantastic speakers who are doing really interesting things, and we then want to get your ideas, your opinions, your criticisms about how we can all move everything onwards and upwards. So, first of all, welcome, as I say, to Biggerplate Berlin. This is the 5th event we have done so far, and I think so far the person who has attended the most is down the front here, Xavier from France, who has been to 4 now? Followed, I think, by Hans de Hoene, who I think has done 3 as well. 3. And Hans also helped us in Utrecht. So we really appreciate having people who come to these events and support these events. We also have people like MindJet and MindMeister and MindGenius who've supported these events right from the beginning. So it's really great to have you all continuously involved and helping us to improve how we do these. So Biggerplate in Germany. Can I just see a show of hands? How many people in the room today are from Germany? Okay, so that's probably more. We thought it was going to be actually 50-50, German and non-German. So Biggerplate in Germany is relatively new, and Germany as such is a relatively unknown region for us. We, at the moment, don't have that many sort of people and contacts and network here in the same way that we do in France or the Netherlands or the UK or America. So that's why we wanted to come and do an event here. We want to meet the people who are mapping in Germany. We want to learn how mapping is being used in Germany. And there really is a difference between different countries. Having done an event in the UK, in San Francisco, in France, in the Netherlands, there are differences, and it's really interesting. So thank you all to the local Germans for coming, as well as those of you who travelled from far away. Germany is a key region for us because it sends us a lot of traffic to the website. It is actually the 4th biggest source of traffic to our website. So it's important for us because a lot of people are coming to see us. But we have relatively low engagement. And by that I mean we don't have that many German language maps, and we don't know as many German mappers as we do in other countries. So this is what we're trying to change with things like this event and what we'll kind of do afterwards as a follow-up. We're trying to get more engaged with the German community. So if any of you out there are not that engaged with Biggerplate yet, we would really love to hear from you, get to meet you and learn how you're using mapping. There's a quick note. My spell check is not liking your name, Bob Christian, sorry. There's a quick note, which is part of the reason we haven't got that much engagement probably in Germany and lots of other countries, is Biggerplate is an English language website, and it has been for a very long time. And we have, over the last 6 months, been extremely lucky to have members of our community helping us to translate the website completely for free. So they are helping to translate it into the languages that they want to see on the site. So we've actually got Marco from Italy down here, who's helped us with our Italian translation. And then the people I've put on the list here, one from Carl sadly couldn't be here today. Both Christian and Carl have single-handedly done the first wave of translation for Biggerplate, which means you'll start to see more German language on the site. So I'd just like to say thank you to both Christian and Carl, who's not here, for that effort, and for anyone else who is helping with our translation projects that I can't remember. As I say, this is, we think, the most international gathering by some distance, and I'm going to put Nick under pressure here, because Nick last night, I said to Nick, I think this is going to be the most international group we've ever had. He said, well, we need to show this, we need to make this visible. So he went off into his room and he came back and went, look what I've done. So this is what Nick has done in his room, actually in the corridor last night, because the Wi-Fi in our apartment is not very good. So Nick was working in the corridor last night, and this is what he came up with. those of you who don't know Biggerplate very well, we kind of make stuff up on the spot, so everything you got to
You need to refresh the page.
refresh.
Oh, wow. It's great.
It gets better. There you go.
Oh.
That's better. So we thought this was just kind of fun, but it looks kind of good as well. So we have got a really great mix today, and up the top there we've got,
Glasgow.
that's Glasgow, that'll be Jamie from Mind Genius, way up there, all the way from Scotland. So thank you, Jamie, from Mind Genius, for coming all that way. We've got Blandine and Javier, who come from France. We've got Madeleine, who's Belgium, not Netherlands, I was confused. We've got a great mix of people here, and then there's just this mad line down here. Anyone want to guess where that lands? Cape Town, correct. We have Faisal, who has come all the way from Cape Town to see Berlin and to participate and to get to know other mappers. So thank you, Faisal. This is really exciting, but I hope nobody's going to be offended by the pollution caused by 23,000 air miles or train miles. I can't help that. So thank you all for coming, whether you came just in Berlin or far away. It really is very useful and important that we hear from as many different perspectives as possible. If you are a Twitter person, please do tweet today. Oh, I lost myself. If you don't know us, we're at Biggerplate. If you're using anything about this event, use the hashtag #BPun. And if you can tweet us a photo, we'll send you some of our image packs. If any of you haven't seen our image packs, we rather like them. They are really nice little imports that you can pull into most mind mapping software. There's some free ones, and the rest are about $1 or something incredibly cheap. So we'll send you some of these. If you send us a photo of your day-to-day here at BPun, we'll send you some of these as a thank you for sharing what's happening here today. So I'm going to launch into a slightly grand title of a presentation called The Home of Mind Mapping. And this is actually a fairly recent concept that has emerged out of a lot of different conversations where we realised we wanted to try and become this, actually. Before we said we want to be the best place for mind maps and for mind mappers. And actually we realised we want to be a little bit more than that. We want to be the place you come for anything to do with mind mapping. So this is now, if you like, our goal, what we're aiming for. So why this goal? Why do we think this is important or useful or potentially even interesting to someone? We think we can provide something of a neutral territory. Now we sort of support lots of different software, but we're really supporting mind mapping as a whole. So we think we can provide something of a neutral territory for the mind mapping industry, for the mind mapping community, and somewhere where we can pull everything together and learn a lot from what's happening. I talked in San Francisco about mind mapping being the missing link, and I believe this to be very, very true, is that we have to figure out where mind mapping fits with existing processes. We shouldn't be saying mind mapping solves everything. We should be saying for certain jobs, for certain processes, a mind map is the best tool for the job. And for other jobs, don't go near a mind map. Just understand when to use them and when not to use them. So I talked a lot about the missing link. And I think what Biggerplate has to do, and the role we have to play, is showing how real people around the world are using mind mapping and prove and provide a body of evidence that this is the missing link. This is the tool that everybody should have on their computer alongside Word, PowerPoint, Keynote, Prezi, all of these different tools that we use for different jobs. The one tool that's missing is a tool for organising our ideas and our information. We launch straight into presentations without doing any planning. We launch straight into proposals without doing any structuring of ideas. Mind mapping is the missing link, and we think Biggerplate could provide the body of evidence for that. The result will hopefully be that if we can become the home of mind mapping, we will drive wider adoption. We will be the place that everyone can use and abuse. You know, we want you to use our stuff, to share it out, to tell the world, to take everything we produce for free and just use it as much as possible. So what does it look like? I said I want to be the home of mind mapping, and somebody said to me, put some numbers on it. So I said, okay, I'll make up some numbers. So I made up 1 million members. Don't know why, just thought that's a nice number, so we'll aim for that. 100,000 mind maps, that's a nice number, we'll aim for that. At the moment, Biggerplate has about 75,000 members from around the world. And I think we've got about 7,000 or 8,000 maps, so quite a long way to go. The bit that I think is really missing from our site at the moment is great consumer and user advice. This is where we get asked a lot of questions that we are not answering on our website very well. We're really not catering for people who are new to mind mapping. I have a graph that I draw very, very badly quite often, which basically illustrates that Biggerplate only caters for people who know what mind mapping is, who understand what mind mapping software is, and understand the differences. At the moment, if you stumble across our website and you know nothing about mind mapping, we're not doing a very good job of taking you by the hand and helping you to engage and understand. So there's sort of questions that we get asked a lot. What is mind mapping? How do I use mind mapping software? How do I apply this in my work? Which product is best? Anytime we do any event, somebody says to me, which product is best? And again, we have to be saying, it depends what you want to do it for. And what are the different formats? Everybody in this room probably understands the difference between a MindGenius map format and a MindJet map format, or Xmind versus FreeMind. Huge numbers of people who come to Biggerplate don't understand this. All they see is a mind map. They don't understand or know the difference. Why would you? So we, Biggerplate, have to do a much better job of making this clear, helping people understand, because then we're more likely to help people engage with mind mapping and start using it. So how do we get there? There's three things really. We're looking for members, maps, and consumer advice, if you like. So this is what I just want to try and cover as three quite significant projects at the moment that we're working on. And again, with all of these, well, probably except for this first one, with all of these, we really want your feedback, your ideas, your criticisms, your responses, if you like. We kind of make things up as we go. We've got a very clear plan of what we want to achieve, but we're always pulling people along with us, and it's really important that we continue to do that. So I'm going to talk about three things, and I'll try and keep it brief. One is API construction. Hands up if you know what an API is. Perfect, same as me. Not many people know what it is. Good. Biggerplate Publisher. None of you should know what that is because it's completely new. But if you do know, I'm a bit worried. Consumer advice. This is our consumer insights that we're going to try and pull from our community. So I'm going to try and talk about these one by one. Graham is at the back there. He's going to hold up cards telling me if I'm going on too long. And if anybody's just really bored, just stick their hand up and I'll bow out. Was that an actual 10-minute mark, or are you just waving cards?
That is actually the actual 10
Oh my
minute
goodness.
That was not a test.
Hurry up, Liam.
I would like to have another neighbour.
Yeah. Every time. Nobody else wanted to talk today, did they? No? Just. So the API construction, this is a very technical thing that I don't understand. No doubt about it, I'm not a technical person, so this is all very, very new territory for me. But the purpose of an API is to help us engage existing software users. So before we go out and try and bring new people to the world of mapping, we should really be finding all of those people who are already using mind mapping software, mind mapping apps. So the outcomes from our API construction will be integration with all leading software. So you will see soon, hopefully very soon, buttons in your favorite software that says upload this map to Biggerplate or view maps from Biggerplate. Have a really seamless experience of uploading and downloading to and from our library from within your chosen software. We think this is going to be a really powerful way to first of all expose Biggerplate and the library and the community to many, many, many more people, but also we think it will drive more maps. The best way I can illustrate it is with this quite simple diagram. Biggerplate's in the middle here, and that's not about ego, that's just to help draw the diagram. Around us are all these great companies doing fantastic stuff, creating fantastic software and really pushing forward mind mapping. And we have great relationships with these companies, we work with lots of them are here today, but at the moment we sort of sit relatively separate from each other. Afterwards it's going to look like that. There is going to be a real tightening of relationships and functionality between software, between Biggerplate, between the community and everywhere around the world. So you've got some great software here, some great apps, and by the end of next year, my hope is that you will be able to fire your maps to Biggerplate in seconds from within your favourite software, and also pull down templates and examples. I think that's going to be kind of cool. The structure of an API. Technical stuff I don't understand, so I'm not even going to try and describe it. The best way I can put it is, it's the technical bridge between Biggerplate.com and software. That's what we're aiming for, is a bridge so that people who are using software can learn about all the resources and community and maps that are on Biggerplate. At the moment, there's a huge number of those users who have no idea we exist. That's okay, it's not their fault, that's our fault, but we have to try and fix that. The timing. This construction is happening right now, which is why Nick is just so tired at the back of the room. He's been working hard trying to do API work. The first experiments we're hoping are going to happen in November and December. So we've got something kind of built now, and we're going to start firing little tests at it and see if we break it. And we're hoping that we'll start to see integrations with software in the first half of next year. So again, we think this is quite a big step for mind mapping as a whole to have this level of connectedness between things. I hope you'll agree. The second project that I'm probably going to have to rush through because I've talked too much already is Biggerplate Publisher. The purpose of this project is to change the core behaviour on Biggerplate. So there are 75,000 members on Biggerplate, and probably less than 1% of those users have ever shared a map on the site. Now the whole success of Biggerplate is based on maps. If we don't get new maps, the whole thing dries up. The whole momentum is based on maps. So we're trying to shift now the behaviour of the community from being map consumers to map contributors. This is how we're going to do it. The outcomes will be more mind maps, but perhaps more importantly, more contributing members. At the moment we rely on probably 500 or so people who share maps. We want to turn that into 5,000 people sharing maps. The structure is, we're changing the membership of Biggerplate, and we're breaking it now into 3 types. The first type is basic, and this is the most important change to what people know of Biggerplate is there's now a limit. So you can only take 5 maps per month from Biggerplate for free. Keep with me. The next level up is Biggerplate Plus. Unlimited downloads per month. What most of you will have at the moment. That's what people are used to on Biggerplate, is unlimited downloads. Take. You'll also be able to create user groups. Again, at the moment that's part of everybody's membership. And we're also going to be extending the profile for Biggerplate Plus. There's then going to be a third level, which is what I'm kind of most excited about really, which is the top level. And this is for people who publish lots. So I can't think of this, a few people in here have published a lot of maps. So if you're publishing 40, 50, 60 maps on Biggerplate, this is going to be something really, really nice for you. Possible features, we haven't agreed yet. We'd like to see some ideas today from you guys as to what someone who publishes a lot of maps would like to see. Custom preview. Create your own preview image for your map. Profile and map analytics. Which maps are getting viewed the most and where and how and why. Read-only options. Sometimes people don't want to make their maps available to download. It's not quite what Biggerplate's about, but maybe there's something we should look at there. Private sharing, again, not quite what Biggerplate as a whole is about, but we get asked a lot. I want to put my maps into a private area and only give access to certain people. Okay, we can look at that. And map albums. Once you all upload 50, 60 maps, on Biggerplate at the moment there's just a big long list. We think you should be able to organise that in the same way you'd organise your photos on Facebook into albums. We'll be organising our mind maps into albums. So this is the big change, is 3 membership types, and the limits are part of a sort of limits and gates approach. So if you're on Biggerplate Basic, you have 5 downloads per month, which might not sound like very much, but actually it's enough for most people. We looked into our data, we looked at how many maps people were downloading. The average was about 4 maps a month. So the limit will only hit people who are kind of just taking a lot, if you see what I mean. We're only really going to be limiting people who consume, perhaps rather than contribute. The really important thing is we could have put a limit on Biggerplate at the start. We could have put a paywall at any point over the last 5 years and said, no, now you have to pay for maps. We've never really felt that was the right approach. It's a bit simple, it's a bit easy, and it's a bit of a blunt instrument. So what we've come up with is an alternative approach, which we call upload or upgrade. So when you hit your 5 downloads per month, it'll say to you, okay, Rafaela, you've taken 5 maps from Biggerplate now. You now have no more maps available to you for the rest of this month. Here are your options. You can either wait until the start of the next month and it will reset, or here's some better options. You can either upload your own map, so contribute back to the community, and we'll unlock maps for you for the rest of the month. So by giving one map back to the community, you get unlimited downloads for the month. And that process will repeat every month. So we're trying to push people now into giving something back. Some people will never upload a map. We know this. People say, my maps are all confidential, they're all private, I can't share a map. Okay, we still think you should be contributing something. So the alternative is, you can upgrade. You can just pay $9.99 for 3 months of unlimited downloads, or $19 for 12 months. Very, very low amounts of money. We're not that interested in this part, actually. It's this bit up here that has proven to be really, really interesting. Because it's amazing when people say, oh, I've got no maps to upload. It's amazing what happens when you put a barrier in front of them that says pay. Very interesting what behavior happens then. Suddenly people find a map to upload. We've been running this, and this is where... Has anybody seen, by the way, anything about account types or upgrades on the website so far? Has anybody signed up to Biggerplate within the last sort of 3 or 4 months? Okay, so that was our goal, is this should have been relatively invisible up to now. We've been running this as a pilot test from May until now. And it's only applied to new members. So anyone who signed up to Biggerplate before May, you've got the second tier of membership for life, because you helped us get started. You helped grow the community in the beginning. So we're not going to apply limits to you now. So all previous members have the plus membership. So what about the results from our pilot test? Average new maps uploaded per week, more than 50% up. It's amazing what happens when you confront people with the possibility that they might have to pay. People say, oh, that's funny, actually I have got a map. And surprisingly, we see a huge increase in maps, and equally important, a large number of new contributors. We're not just relying on the same people to constantly upload, we're bringing new people in who are contributing, and it's really worked very, very well. There are some people opting to go for the paid option. It's a very small proportion, that's 0.68%, I think, is the conversion over that whole period of new members. So less than 1 out of every 100 is opting for that paid option. And again, that's okay, that's not really the purpose of this. So that's what we've been doing up to now, and we're now into... Sorry?
Can you look at the quality of whether people just uploading something just for uploading something?
Correct. Good first question. I'm going to take questions on all of this later, because we have a session in the afternoon where we do questions, but this is one of the things we were looking at in our pilot test. If you say to people, upload a map, what do they do? Do they go and find their own map? Do they upload the map they just downloaded back to the site? And yes, across the board, there are people who try to game the system. The nice thing is we have quite intelligent things we can do to ungame the system later. So we're going to have some nice messages when people upload maps and we say, this map looks familiar, because it will be the map they've just downloaded. There are ways we can do this. We don't quality control Biggerplate, as most of you will know. We don't say to you, this is a rubbish map, we're not taking it. Because if that's someone's first experiment with mind mapping, we don't want to discourage them. So as long as the map isn't just stealing copyright, we're going to be fine with it. Even if they upload a map with just 4 arms, that's fine. So the next phase is to make this system much more visible. So you'll be seeing much more visibility around what account type you have, what different limits people have, all of these sort of things. All with a view to pushing more people to contributing maps. We're also going to build something which means if someone hits their limits, they upload maps, they constantly do this, we will just upgrade them. They will not have to do this every month. If they become regular members, once they get 100 likes on their maps, we'll just upgrade them. We're not that interested in trying to force people through these steps, but we want to try and make it a little bit more proactive for people uploading. Phase 3, which will start next year, is building out the publisher accounts, the more complex, lots of new features. So that's going to be quite a big project, but it's one that we are seeing immediate results from this pilot test of what happens when you put barriers in front of people that suggest they should be contributing and not just taking. Trying to change the behavior. The final project is what we're calling community insights, and this is really saying people need guidance around mind mapping, but we don't think Biggerplate should be the only person providing it. I don't know as much as some other people know about FreeMind or XMind or MindMeister, so we should find the people who know the most, and they should be giving us the guidance and the feedback that helps other users understand what they need. So it's going to be community driven. We've got a community of 75,000 mappers. We should be using their knowledge, their expertise to provide guidance for other people. what are the best maps for this? The community is going to dictate that by saying like, dislike. What is the best software for this? Again, it's going to hopefully become much clearer now by getting the community to give us their feedback. The outcome should be clearer guidance for beginners. The structures are the existing system on Biggerplate, where you can rate a map just by giving it a thumbs up, thumbs down. We're not that interested in the thumbs down process. We don't think not many maps deserve a thumbs down. But we would encourage everybody to constantly, if you're clicking around the site, just give a thumbs up to these maps, because it's going to constantly help us to surface the content that the community finds most useful. And that's what we think will be most helpful for new users. We're going to continue what we started off the back of San Francisco. We got very clear feedback in San Francisco that we need to do more storytelling. We need to share more case studies. We need to show how different people around the world are using maps every day in their normal work. And we've really started to do a lot of that on our blog, and that's going to continue and develop. So if any of you have particularly interesting stories about how you're using mind mapping, or you have clients, customers, we'd really like to know. We're going to be providing a lot better software information. This is an area of our website that has just been a bit lame for a while because it wasn't that exciting for us. We're going to try and get our teeth into it and provide much better guidance for people now about which software they might want to try out, depending on what they say they're trying to do. And we're going to pull on the experts who are part of our community, many of whom are here in this room today. Again, people who know more about specific things than us, so we should be harnessing what they know rather than pretending we have all the answers. We very rarely have the answers, we just try and ask stupid questions. The timing of this is now. This is happening as we speak. More case studies, more likes, dislikes. You'll start to see the thumbs up and thumbs down. They'll be much more prominent throughout the website, so hopefully all of you will be clicking around and hit a few more buttons around. And that's pretty much it. So the question mark is the home of mind mapping. How are we doing so far? Well, we're not there yet. I just made up some numbers, but I think actually, in terms of a philosophical view of it, I don't think Biggerplate is yet the home of mind mapping. I think it could be, and I think it should be. There's a long way to go, and perhaps most importantly, with the API project, the publisher project, and the community insights project, the pace at which we are moving towards that goal is accelerating. The API work can put Biggerplate and the library and the maps and the community, that could put all of that in front of users in hundreds of thousands. Instantly, we can have a step change in how many people are engaging with mind mapping. But ultimately, the community will decide. Firstly, they'll decide, one, is Biggerplate the home of mind mapping? And secondly, they'll decide, is Biggerplate the right home for mind mapping? And that's going to be about doing things with the right values, sticking to how we've done things so far, and continuing to do things for the benefit of the wider mapping community as opposed to just ourselves, which is how we've built everything so far. Feedback, engagement, and action are key. So we need to hear from you guys constantly. We need you to send us emails, tweets, Facebook messages, right on the walls here. We need it constantly because it guides a lot of what we do. The most important thing is the foundations are improving. If we're building the home of mind mapping, the API, the publisher, and the insights are improving the foundations upon which we want to build that. We've got a session later this afternoon where we're going to do a sort of Q&A where you can ask any questions about any of this. It's all very open, so ask your questions, write them down now and get me later on it. But for now, I'm going to say thank you all very much for coming. We really appreciate the support, the distance some of you have travelled, and just your continued enthusiasm for mind mapping. And I'm now going to introduce our first speaker, who has come from the Netherlands. And I'm now going to try and introduce him in how I learned him last night, which is the Dutch MacGyver. He's a very interesting guy, and he's going to talk to us again about using mind mapping just in his business. He's not training in mind mapping, he's not a mind mapping expert, he's just using it in a very interesting way. So I'd like to welcome Jeroen. I think I did it right there, not bad. I really struggle with this name. I'd like to welcome Jeroen and say thank you to you all and welcome to Jeroen.